live stream here from Lincoln, Rhode Island. This is Dr. August Rosado of Today in Bible Prophecy Ministries. And we want to thank you so very much for tuning in on our broadcast today. I hope that all of you last week had a wonderful Thanksgiving. And of course, we had no live streaming for the week of Thanksgiving so that all of you can spend time with your family. Today is December 1st. You know what that means? Christmas is going to be in full swing. And so we know that many of you are going to be going out there, rushing around to get your Christmas shopping done if you haven't had it done already. And so, I do enjoy this time of the year because, number one, I get to spend more time with my family despite the whole entire year of traveling to, churches all across the United States speaking on Bible prophecy. But I also like this time of the year because, what corresponds to Christmas is Hanukkah. And as you can see behind me over here, I have my Hanukkah. It's an electronic Hanukkah that is right now burning bright because, tonight at sundown will be the fourth night of Hanukkah. And so Hanukkah goes by a couple of different names. I'll be sharing those names with you during the broadcast because we're going to talk about Hanukkah and its relation to Bible prophecy. So you might want to have your Bibles open. And of course, you might want to have your pen and paper so you take down some notes or just watch the archive of the broadcast. So when you get an opportunity, don't forget to visit my website at todayinbibleprophecy.org. And while you're there, I want you to go to my contact link and give me your name, your email address, and just request that you would like to receive our free weekly newsletters. And of course, right now we are simultaneously broadcasting on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. My Facebook page is public. So you can send me a Facebook friend request, or you can just simply, find me on Facebook, August Rosado, and watch the live stream Monday through Friday. Let me correct myself. Wednesday through Friday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, we are right now simultaneously broadcasting on YouTube, and I want you to subscribe to my YouTube channel, August Rosado. That's my channel. You might have to create a YouTube account, which is free. So that way you'll be able to subscribe to my channel. And whenever there's a new video, you're going to be notified. And I also have a YouTube channel, okay? And that is at Bible_prophecy. So that is my Twitter handle, at Bible_prophecy. And I list all the late breaking news stories right there on my Twitter handle. Follow me on Twitter at Bible_, not the word at, but the icon at Bible and then the underscore and prophecy, or just search me on there as August Rosado. Follow me on Twitter, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and send me a Facebook friend request. Now, Monday through Friday at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have a 15-minute broadcast on WOPW 93.3 FM out of Central Kentucky. You don't have to live in Kentucky. You can still listen to me by going to their website, WOPW.org, and listen to our 15-minute segment on Bible prophecy. And I want to let all of you know the brochures are ready for our Bible prophecy tour to Israel, which is scheduled for April 23rd to May 3rd, 2022. That's going to be 11 days with 2 nights in Jordan. And I will be teaching you Bible prophecy on location at all of those spots. So if you've never been to Israel, you need to go. Unfortunately, right now, Israel once again closed their borders. They reopened November 1st, Then this variant came out of the coronavirus that they call the Omicron, which is the 15th letter of the Greek alphabet. And they shut the country down for 2 weeks. Todd Baker and I were supposed to go there on December the 8th. Tickets paid for, hotels, everything. Then Israel, once again, in my estimation, overreacted and shut the country down for 2 weeks. No, why not just shut it down for the year? Why 2 weeks? But they shut down the 2 weeks, taking it to December 13th. I don't know if they will reschedule us for after that. It's probably not going to happen because it's going to get closer to Christmas. So it's most likely Todd Baker and I are probably going to be going in January. So that's how it stands right now. Right now the 50th Israel Gospel Outreach has been delayed 7 times because of the Israeli government setting dates to open the borders. And then when we get closer, they backtrack on that. To me, I think it's an overreaction. So we're going to try. If it doesn't happen in December, which most likely it's not, for the 50th Israel Gospel Outreach, then Todd Baker and I, Lord willing, will go in January. But our prophecy tour will be in April. And we want you to come with us. So if you've never been to Israel, come with me. Let me teach you prophecy on location. 11 days, Israel and Jordan, 2 nights in Jordan, North Jordan at Mount Nebo, where Moses viewed the promised land, and South Jordan at Petra, where the Jews will be held up for the last half of the tribulation period. So if you'd like to go, contact me. I will send you the e-brochure, the itinerary, and all that good stuff. All right. So why don't we get into our study lesson right now? And we want to talk about Hanukkah and prophecy. So that's what we're going to show right now, Hanukkah and prophecy. So if you have your Bibles, I want you to look with me in Daniel chapter 11. You say, where's Hanukkah in the Bible? Well, there are 2 places in the Bible, one in the Old Testament, one in the New Testament. So let's go to the Old Testament, to the book of Daniel. Daniel's after the book of Ezekiel. In Daniel 11, looking at verse number 28, it says this: Then shall he return into his land with great riches, and his heart shall be against the holy covenant, and he shall do exploits and return to his own land. Now look at verse number 30. For the ships of Shittim shall come up against him. Therefore he shall be grieved and return and have indignation against the holy covenant. So shall he do. He shall even return and have intelligence with them that forsake the holy covenant. So in verse 28, holy covenant. Verse 30, 2 times, holy covenant, holy covenant. Then in verse number 31, an arm shall stand on his part, and they shall pollute the sanctuary. That's the temple. The sanctuary of strength, and shall take away the daily sacrifice, and they shall place the abomination that maketh desolate. And such as do wickedly against the covenant, or the holy covenant, the Mosaic covenant, shall he corrupt by flatteries. But the people, the Jews, Am Israel, that do know their God, shall be strong and do exploits. So we're looking at Hanukkah in its relation to Bible prophecy. When you look at Daniel chapter number 11, Daniel chapter 11 records 200 years of conflict, 200 years of wars between the Ptolemies of Egypt and the Seleucids, who were Greeks that were stationed in Syria. Now, Daniel wrote at around 605 BC. Now, this is 605 years before the birth of Jesus, the Messiah. He wrote in 605 BC as a captive in Babylon. Daniel was taken from Jerusalem to Babylon along with his 3 Jewish friends, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. He said, August, don't you mean Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? No, I mean Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Why can't those in the church today call these 3 Jewish boys by their godly Hebrew names? Why do we refer to them by their pagan, godless Babylonian names given to them by a pagan, godless king, Nebuchadnezzar, to honor his pagan, godless gods, if you will? So I like to refer to them by their godly Hebrew names: Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah taken to Babylon 605 BC. Ezekiel and 10,000 Jewish captives were taken in the second wave in 597 BC. And then in the third wave in 586 BC, Nebuchadnezzar and the Babylonian army destroy Jerusalem and Solomon's temple, take the remaining Jews back to Babylon. What we got to understand is that Daniel wrote these prophecies in the 6th century BC, and many of these prophecies were fulfilled between the 4th and the 2nd century BC. And you have prophecies that are yet to be fulfilled in the not too distant future. This is the reason why liberal critics and liberal theologians, and I use that term loosely, hate the book of Daniel, because Daniel was so precise in these prophecies. They'll even go as far as to say Daniel did not write the book of Daniel. Somebody other than Daniel wrote the book of Daniel, or somebody else with the same name, Daniel, wrote it, but not the prophet Daniel. Then that will contradict the words of Jesus in Matthew 24:15, where Jesus said, when you therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place. Now, from Daniel chapter 11, verses 2 through 35, that is all history, covering those 200 years of conflict between the Ptolemies of Egypt and the Seleucids of Syria. So verses 2 through 35 have already been fulfilled. Verses 2 through 35 are historical. But when you get to verses 36 through 45, that is eschatological. That shoots into the future. Mind you, the vital person we're going to be looking at is the forerunner of this guy who will come on the world stage in the future during the 70th week of Daniel's prophecy, or the 7-year period of tribulation. So please keep that in mind. Daniel chapter 11, 2 through 35 are history. Already fulfilled. Historical. It's only when you get from verses 36 through 45 that it shoots to the future. So that's something that we need to remember. Now, you know that when Alexander the Great died, his kingdom was divided among his 4 generals. 2 generals in particular are fighting for control of the whole kit and caboodle, the whole piece of the pie. These 2, again, Ptolemy of Egypt and the vile person that we're going to be looking at in Daniel 11 and verse number 21. Now, coming from the Seleucids would be that vile person. You look with me in Daniel 11:21. It says this in Daniel 11:21. And in his estate shall stand up a vile person to whom they shall not give the honor of the kingdom, but he shall come in peaceably and obtain the kingdom by flatteries. So you say, okay, well, August, who is this vile person? Again, the Jewish prophet Daniel, writing at around 605 BC, was very accurate in his prophecies. Jesus confirms in Matthew 24:15 that Daniel is the author. Okay? 605 BC, he writes these prophecies. And again, many of the prophecies fulfilled between the 4th and the 2nd century BC, and you got prophecies that are yet to be fulfilled in the future. But when we looked at the vile person in Daniel chapter 11 and verse number 21, the vile person is none other than a man by the name of Antiochus Epiphanes. The Jews called him Antiochus Epiphanes, the madman. And when Antiochus Epiphanes defeated the Ptolemies in Egypt, he took control of the Holy Land. And he outlawed Jewish practice, and his heart was against the Holy Covenant that we were just talking about. So we see in Daniel chapter 11 and verse number 28, then shall he return into his land with great riches, and his heart shall be against the Holy Covenant. He hates the Holy Covenant. He wants nothing to do with the Holy Covenant. So the vile person in Daniel 11:21 is none other than Antiochus IV Epiphanes. I remember preaching at a church this past January in Massachusetts. And as I was taking question and answers from the audience, one guy was there, an older gentleman. He said, August, the vile person in Daniel 11:21 is none other than Joe Biden. I said, sir, your interpretation is gross, it's unbiblical, and it departs from the biblical narrative. You're trying to fit a political figure in the White House, currently in power, into a prophecy that happened 2,300 years ago. I said, sir, why do you think the Jews celebrate Hanukkah? Daniel 8, Daniel 11 has nothing to do with Joe Biden. It has everything to do with the vile person in Daniel 11:21. And that is none other than Antiochus IV Epiphanes, whom the Jews called the madman. And again, I just read to you Daniel 11:28. His heart will be against the Holy Covenant. This would be the Mosaic Covenant. This guy, Antiochus Epiphanes, would outlaw Judaism, outlaw the worship of the one true God, outlaw or ban Jews from going, into the temple to worship God. His heart is against the Holy Covenant. Mind you, this has taken place in 168 BC, ended in 165 BC. So, it's amazing to me how Christians can abuse prophecy in this fashion. Even historically speaking, they'll try to put a modern day individual and catapult him 2,300 years back and say that's a fulfillment of him. It's ridiculous. And this is the reason why people don't take prophecy seriously anymore. It's simply because of nonsense like this. The Bible is accurate, and if it says it's historic, it's historic. And if it says something in the future, it's going to be in the future. This guy, Antiochus Epiphanes, would persecute the Jewish people. And listen, we see this in Daniel chapter 11 and verse number 30, where it says, "For the ships of Cheatham shall come up against him. Therefore he shall be grieved and return and have indignation against the holy covenant. So shall he do. He shall even return and have intelligence with them that forsake the holy covenant." The ships of Cheatham would be the Ptolemies sending warships against Antiochus. He would defeat the Ptolemies. He will be so enraged that he now takes it out on the people of God, the chosen people, the apple of his eye. He has indignation against the holy covenant, Barit Kadosh, the holy covenant of God. And that's exactly what we see in Daniel 11. So stop trying to fit a president of the United States into this prophecy. It has nothing to do with him. It's unbelievable. Then we see in Daniel chapter 11 and verse number 31, Antiochus did the unthinkable. And what does he do? Daniel 11:31. It says, "An arm shall stand on his part, and they shall pollute the sanctuary of strength, and shall take away the daily sacrifice, and they shall place the abomination that maketh desolate." Others would say, oh, when Jesus talked about the abomination of desolation in Matthew 24:15, he was talking about what Antiochus did 2,300 years ago. No, because this all took place in 168 BC. Jesus is talking about the future, because in verse 15, it says that when the abomination of desolation takes place, the Jews flee into the mountains. That didn't happen in 168 BC. The Jews did not flee. They rose up against Antiochus, as we'll see in a few moments. But the abomination of desolation that Jesus is talking about, the Jews flee for their very lives against a future individual who will defile a third rebuilt Jewish temple in Jerusalem. Obviously, that's the Antichrist we're talking about. So this guy, Antiochus the fourth Epiphanes, what does he do? He defiles the temple in Jerusalem. How does he defile the temple in Jerusalem? Well, he goes into the most holy place. I know they commonly call it a Holy of Holies. I like to refer to the most holy place. He goes into the most holy place. He sacrifices a pig on the altar. He opens up the belly of the pig, throws its entrails everywhere. Then he erects a statue to the Greek god Zeus in honor of Zeus. Worships that statue in the temple. This drove the Jews insane. That this guy, Antiochus the fourth Epiphanes, defiles the temple in Jerusalem. And this drives the Jews insane. They say enough is enough. We must stop this man. Get control of our temple. Regain it. And drive these uncircumcised Gentile Philistines out of our land. So then we read in Daniel chapter 11 and verse number 32, where it says, "And such as do wickedly against the covenant shall he corrupt by flatteries. But the people that do know their God shall be strong and do exploits." In other words, the Jewish people would rise up and say, enough is enough. And who are the people that we're talking about? We are talking about the priestly sect known as the Maccabees. The Maccabees were from a place called Modin, Modin. I have been to this place many times. And I'm also going to be putting some video up on there of Dr. Todd Baker and I at Modine teaching over there. You can still see the graves of these Maccabees who rose up against Antiochus IV Epiphanes. Modine is an area situated halfway between Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. The graves of the Maccabees are still visible. A man by the name of Matthias Maccabee rose up against the Seleucid army, against Antiochus IV Epiphanes, and he started to wage a war against them. He gathered a large Jewish army and went to war. Unfortunately, Mattathias was killed in battle. But Mattathias' son, Judah Maccabee, he was also known as the Hammer, because, man, did this guy lay the hammer down, or as they say, laid the smack down. Judah Maccabee picked up after his father and continued a 3-year war against the Seleucid army, against Antiochus IV Epiphanes. And he defeated them and drove them out of the land. And when they walked into the temple in Jerusalem, oh man, they were horrified at what they saw. Pig flesh everywhere. And of course, you know, a pig is an unclean, unkosher animal in Judaism. Pig flesh all over the most holy place in the temple. Not only that, a pig carcass was there. Then they noticed the statue in honor of the Greek god Zeus. So what did they do? They cleansed the temple. They washed it clean of the pig remains. They broke down the statue to Zeus. They got rid of the pig flesh, the pig carcass. And what did they do? They rededicated the temple back to God. And according to Jewish tradition, they found 1-day supply of oil. These priestly sect, known as the Maccabees, they found 1 day's supply of oil in the temple. And that 1 day supply of oil burned miraculously. How did it burn miraculously? It burned miraculously for 8 days. Thus, we have the holiday of Hanukkah. Kaf, Nun, Vav, Kaf, Hey. The Hebrew letters you see there. Hanukkah. Reading Hebrew right to left. The holiday of Hanukkah is born. And that 1 day supply of oil burned miraculously for 8 days. And if you notice this burning in a window of one of your neighbor's windows, well, obviously they must be Jewish, or they may be pro-Israel Christian Zionists, like myself. It's an 8-branch Hanukkah with a top servant branch in the middle, known in Hebrew as shamus. It's the top shamus lamp that lights all the other lamps for the 8 days of Hanukkah. Hanukkah, the feast of the dedication. Why? It's called the Festival of Lights because you have lights. And it's called the Feast of the Dedication because the Maccabees rededicated the temple back to God. That's why we got Feast of the Dedication. The Maccabees, they lost a lot of lives in their war against the Seleucids, but they defeated them and regained their land back, regained their country back. Thus, Hanukkah is born. And that's the reason why they have that little spinning dreidel top there. Dreidel, 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 I made it out of clay. And when it's dried and ready, oh, dreidel will I play. Well, why the dreidel? How does that come in? Well, according to Jewish tradition, prior to the Maccabean revolt against the Seleucid Empire, when Antiochus made it illegal to read Torah, to worship God, well, the Jews were worshiping secretly. And as they were reading the Torah, they would hear the Seleucid troops coming. They would roll up the scroll and hide it, come up a little top, pretend that they're playing a game. And when they looked inside and said, what's going on here? Oh, nothing, we're just playing a little game. All right. Then they would go away, and then they would bring out the Torah scrolls again to worship God. And yet, the Hebrew letters that you see on the Torah scroll, Nun, Gimel, Hey, Shin. Well, those are all acronyms for Nes Gadol Haya Sham. A great miracle happened there. See, I can say Nes Gadol Haya Sham because I'm not over there in Israel right now. I wish I was, but I'm not, unfortunately. I'm here 5,500 miles away across the pond there in the United States. Here in the United States. So, I can't say Nes Gadol Haya Po, a great miracle happened here, because I'm not in Israel. So I would say Nes Gadol Haya Sham, a great miracle happened there. But if I was in Israel, I would say Nes Gadol Haya Po, a great miracle happened here. What is it? The miracle of 1 day supply of oil burning for 8 days. Thus, Hanukkah, Festival of Lights, the Feast of the Dedication. Now, somebody in the New Testament celebrated Hanukkah. Who was he? Yeshua. Jesus celebrates Hanukkah. How do we know that he celebrated Hanukkah? Well, first of all, Jesus is a Jew. Not was, is a Jew. He was born a Jew. He lived as a Jew. He was born in Israel, particularly Bethlehem of Judea. Not Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, Bethlehem, Judea. And we know that he celebrated Hanukkah because of what we read in John chapter 10, verses 22 and 23. And it makes it very clear, okay? And it was at Jerusalem, the Feast of the Dedication. And it was what? Winter. And Jesus walked in the temple of Solomon's porch. Christmas is in the winter. Hanukkah, even though it's early this year, it's in the winter. Christmas and Hanukkah deal with lights. But the thing with Hanukkah, it's not the Jewish Christmas. Stop saying that. Okay? Hanukkah is the feast of the dedication because the Maccabees, 500 years earlier before the Lord Jesus' ministry, rededicated the temple to God. 2,300 years later, and the Jewish people are still observing this holiday. I know it's called the Feast of the Dedication, but it's not a part of the seventh feast of Leviticus chapter number 23. But nonetheless, it was a holiday or a feast, if you will, but not the feast of Leviticus 23. Jesus celebrated Hanukkah as a rabbi, as a Jew. He celebrated Hanukkah. That's why you see behind me over here, my Hanukkah is brightly lit. Now, I took it out of my window downstairs to bring it up here for all of you to see. And after the broadcast, I'll put it back downstairs so it will burn tonight for everyone outside to see that in this house we observe Hanukkah has nothing to do with one salvation. Don't even go there, please. Has nothing to do with one salvation. Keeping the feast doesn't make you spiritual or more spiritual than the next guy. I, with a Jewish background, I love not only my Jewish roots, but the Jewish roots of my faith. And my faith is in Yeshua. And it's unfortunate today that the church, by and large, has divorced itself from its Jewish roots. I, for one, won't do that. Because one day we're going to be living in the kingdom. That kingdom ain't going to be in Rome. It ain't going to be in Washington, D.C. But the kingdom will be in Jerusalem, the capital of the Jewish people. So Hanukkah does remind us that one day Bible prophecy is going to be fulfilled when the Bible says a third Jewish temple will occupy the most sacred piece of real estate on earth today, the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. And what Antiochus Epiphanes did 2,300 years ago in the Temple of Jerusalem, the Antichrist will do in the not too distant future, when he also defiles the temple of God, not with a pig, but with his very presence will defile that temple. And that's what Jesus calls the abomination of desolation. And the Jews in the future are not going to rise up to fight the Antichrist like the Jews did with Antiochus. Jesus said in Matthew 24:16, they will flee for their lives into the mountains. Daniel 9:27, Matthew 24:15, 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verses 3 and 4, Revelation 11, 1 and 2. All talk about a future third rebuilt temple that will stand on the most sacred piece of real estate on earth today, the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, where the first and second Jewish temples once stood, where today the Islamic shrine of the Dome of the Rock occupies the site. But that dome's got to go in order for a third Jewish temple to occupy that very site. And that's exactly what the Temple Institute is looking to do today. They are steamrolling toward the rebuilding of a third Jewish temple. Hanukkah reminds us of what happened in the past, verses 2 through 35 of Daniel 11, and what's going to happen in the future, verses 36 through 45. When the ruler of the revived Roman Empire comes on the world stage to take control of a final 10-nation confederacy, confirm a covenant with Israel in Daniel 9:27, protecting them for 7 years, supposedly, until he breaks that covenant at the midway point of the tribulation period. But for the first 3.5 years of that covenant, the Jews will have a third temple up and running, and they'll be going back to animal sacrifices. What am I telling you? I believe the stage is set. The actors are getting into position, and the curtain is about to go up on the end time drama. Prior to the rapture, what are we to do in the last days in which we live? Well, Jesus said in Matthew 5:16, let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father, which is in heaven. Jesus said we are to be a light, just as he said in John 8:12. He said in Hebrew, Ani or ha'olam. I am the light of the world, John 8:12. And he tells us to let our light shine in Matthew 5:16. Just as Christmas lights shine on your tree or on your house for the whole world to see, or on the Hanukkah for everyone to see. Darkness cannot overtake the light. It's the opposite. Light overtakes darkness. And that's what Christmas and Hanukkah reminds us that we are to be a light to the world. Prior to the next main event on God's calendar of activities that we call the rapture of the church. And what a day, glorious day that is going to be. If you're walking in darkness, you need to come to the light. And that light is none other than Yeshua, who is the light of the world. And when you trust him as your Lord and personal Savior, he gives you his light. And you take his light and you shine it to the world for everyone to see, to bring them to faith in Yeshua as Savior and Lord. So, as I bring this broadcast to a close, again, I want to thank all of you for joining us on today's broadcast. Don't forget to join me tomorrow, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, for another Bible prophecy update as we look at the political, setting the stage for the prophetic to be fulfilled. Now, just an update on the 50th Israel Gospel Outreach. It was supposed to be for December 8th, through the 20th. Israel closed their borders again for 2 weeks. I don't know if we're going to be able to go on the 13th or on the 14th. I don't know. Most likely, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. So it looks like we're going to be pushing this 50th Israel Gospel Outreach for January. Now, I'd like it to happen in December, but I don't think it will. So, if you would like to please help us for this 50th Israel Gospel Outreach, many of you have been doing that right now. I appreciate that. But please help Todd Baker and I to carry out that 50th Israel Gospel Outreach. Many of you have been given. Unfortunately, it's not going to happen December 8th because of Israel shutting down again because of the Omicron variant, using the 15th letter of the Greek alphabet. That wasn't Israel. That was WHO, the World Health Organization. So we need your help with that, folks. Can you help us for this 50th Israel Gospel Outreach? My airplane, airfare, hotels, that's all taken care of. We only need help with car rental, gas expense, and other incidentals while we're out there. So if you can help us out with that, you can do that by clicking this PayPal link, typing it in to your search engine. That'll take you to our ministry's PayPal account. And by doing that, you can help us with this 50th Israel Gospel Outreach, or you can mail any of your support to Today in Bible Prophecy Ministries, 143 Grove Street, Lincoln, Rhode Island, 02865. Let me say hello. We got some people that are watching here. I love this person here. She says, her picture says, I love Jesus. I love it. Ani Chava Yeshua in Hebrew. I love Jesus. She says, have a blessed day. She says, shalom. That's her thing there. Have a blessed day. Shalom. Where do I get menorah? Any ideas? You know something? Have a blessed day. You could order menorahs anywhere. Go online. You can get them, buy them a dime a dozen. So you can go online and buy them anywhere. By the way, we have them for sale at our ministry. If you'd like to buy one, I think we have them for $20, and they're really nice. Let me put the PayPal link on there again. Write it down, take a picture of it, and there's a PayPal link. If you'd like to purchase one from us, I think they're $20 plus, I think $5, so just say $25 altogether, and we will send you a beautiful menorah in the mail. And so just, write that down and take a picture of it with your phone. Go to our PayPal link on our PayPal page and put that in, $25. We'll make sure that we send one out to you. So she says, I'm convinced the Antichrist is Arab. That's where I'm going to have to disagree with you. And here's the reason why. Have a blessed day. I disagree with you. Okay? In Daniel chapter 9, verse 26, it says the people of the prince. Now we know the prince is the Antichrist. The people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary. Question: who destroyed the city and the sanctuary in 70 AD? It was the Roman Empire. Daniel says the prince comes from the people who destroyed the city and the sanctuary. That was the Roman Empire. They destroyed Jerusalem in 70 AD, took Jewish captives, slaves, back to Rome. When I was in Rome in 2015, I was looking at the Arch of Titus, a 2,000-year-old relief. And on the Arch of Titus, it shows Roman soldiers with Jewish slaves carrying the temple treasures back to Rome. The Antichrist is the ruler of the revived Roman Empire, not the Ottoman Empire, the revived Roman Empire. Not only that, if the Antichrist is Islamic, and Islam is a monotheistic religion, no Muslim will ever claim to be God. In this case, that's what the Antichrist does. He claims to be God. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verses 3 and 4. No Muslim will ever do that. Not one. Not only that, the Jews will never trust their security to an Arab. I don't care who he is. That will never happen. I've been to Israel 27 times. And Jews out there will say, we don't trust the Arabs, never have, never will. They'll never trust their security to an Arab, but they will trust their security from a Gentile ruler of the revived Roman Empire, Daniel chapter 9 and verse number 27. So have a blessed day. We can go on and on and on and on as to how many holes we can poke in this Arab Antichrist theory, because that's all it is. It's a theory. There is no biblical backing for that at all. Antichrist is not Arab. He is of Roman descent who comes from the people who destroyed Jerusalem in 70 AD, and that was indeed the Roman Empire. So it's not biblical that the Antichrist is Arab. But she says, God bless, happy Hanukkah, holidays, Christmas, New Year's. Same thing to you. Have a blessed day, and I hope to see you back very, very soon. Let's see if we can just quickly look at some friends on Facebook here that are right now watching via Facebook. So let's say a quick hello to all of them. We got some people on here. So we do have Amanda Tatro, Greta Sims Emery, Donald Lewis, Robbie Lincoln. Robbie, hope you're doing better, bud. And we just want to say shalom and happy Hanukkah to all of you. Happy Hanukkah. To have a blessed day. And so we appreciate all of them that are watching, especially those watching on YouTube and on Twitter as well. So again, I want to thank you all for watching. And don't forget to join me tomorrow, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So again, Chag Sameach, it's Hebrew for happy holidays. Chag Sameach Hanukkah. Happy holidays, happy Hanukkah to all of you. And I hope that you will be a light to those that are walking in darkness. Be that walking menorah. Be that walking Hanukkah to bring light to the world, Jews and Gentiles. So I hope to see you all tomorrow afternoon, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So remember, keep looking up. Jesus is coming soon. And Sha'alu Shalom Yerushalayim. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. And Lord willing, we will see you all tomorrow. Have a great day. Stay healthy. Stay safe.